With the 512 design, we've completed drawing the rooms, doors, and windows in the first segment of the video. The second segment of the video is going to be working on our main wall and our west wall. The main wall here you can see we'll create that has the custom backsplash and pass-through cabinet. And then the west wall has a few different cabinets, entertainment area to begin with. The inspiration for the design was derived off of this photograph that we found. Client liked this idea, so we're going to use some of the elements out of that to frame our kitchen. And the wall elevation is effectively going to look something like this on our main wall. We'll go ahead and create a pass-through and explore how to use the elevation and perspective tools to design this. So let's go back into the program and get started with the kitchen layout. If you're a kitchen and bath designer, you're going to want to display your dimensions in inches. You'll notice that when we did our exterior, we did that in feet and inches, and it actually went out to the framing main layer. If you're using Chief Architect Premiere, we have a concept of annotation sets, and all this is a collection of defaults. Let me just kind of show you the way it works. If I highlight this wall and I open up the specification objects that show the object layers, if I turn off the main layer of those walls, you'll notice that I now just get two lines. So I don't have the complexity of the sheetrock and the siding and all of that. So that changes that. I could do the same thing for the dimensions. Annotation sets are a collection of defaults and settings. So I'm just going to simply change my annotation set to the kitchen and bath set. And when I do that, I also have a setting for the NKBA, which stands for the National Kitchen and Bath Association dimensioning. And it makes it more specific maybe to kitchen and bath design work. Now when I do my dimensions, if I use my interior dimension, let's just drag an interior dimension across here, I'm only going to get the wall length here. You'll notice that it will then go to the sheetrock or finished surface in that case. And we have some great videos on annotation sets, or you won't find annotation sets in the interiors product, but you can easily control that through dimension defaults. So I'd encourage you to maybe investigate that. It's a quick way to toggle between, let's say if you have an electrical plan or an HVAC plan, framing plan, and then you can just change all of the way your layers look and your dimension, your textiles, many things to make it look nice and clean. So using Chief Architect Premiere, I've changed my annotation set to kitchen and bath, and for my layer set and my annotations for the NKBA. Let's go ahead and draw one more dimension in here so we know what wall length we have. And we'll just slide that over here. So you can see that I have roughly 279 by 254 on the interior space for our kitchen area. Using a wall elevation, you can view the way the wall looks, so we can just take a wall elevation in here. So you see our wall elevation, and then if we toggle over to our overview camera, you can see that. Now you can design in all three of these views. They'll simultaneously update, and I find that it's easy to maybe do quite a bit of the work in the elevation view, but for some things the plan and the perspective view is quite helpful. Let's kind of explore how the cabinets work in Chief Architect. If I place a cabinet, you'll see the outline of it. These can be resized, and like all of the objects that we've been exploring in the program, they all have the ability to completely customize them. Now the cabinet that I've just placed here again has the defaults. I'm using a maple style with a certain color of or brand of countertop, the door styles, and that's all set in my profile plan. You can customize this in any way. You'll notice that there are several panels. So if you want to have your box construction as framed or frameless, full overlay, you can set that information right here. You can control the door and drawer styles. And if you're using a manufacturer catalog, the boxes in Chief Architect remain a custom box, and then you can make those manufacturer specific by applying out of the library the door and drawer styles, and you can explore those catalogs right out of the manufacturer information and control that information right here. So the first thing I want to do for our cabinet here is I want to change the style of cabinet that we have. So to begin with, let's set our width of this particular cabinet to 24 inches. So that's going to get rid of that double door. And the next thing I want to do is on the front of this cabinet, you'll notice that I'm using a frameless with a full overlay. I'm actually going to change this to a framed cabinet just so we can show off a couple of different things. I'm going to have both framed and frameless in this kitchen. And then for the door style overlay, I'm going to set that to an inset. Again, you'll notice that you can control your separation information in here. And I'm also going to choose on the door style, let's go ahead and change our door to be a slab door. So my door style, I'm going to change that to be a slab. I'm okay with the hardware right now that I've got as my default, but if I wanted to change that, there's a library button. You can browse through the library and choose your hardware style. Once I have that information set up, I'm going to go ahead and accept that and make that my default cabinet. Now every time I place, using the default tool down here in the lower section of your screen, every time I place a new cabinet now, it will have those same attributes. Also notice our cabinets are smart. If you go into the corner of a room and you place a cabinet, it will automatically adapt and create a corner cabinet. Let's go ahead and delete these two cabinets here. And I'm going to begin with placing our range. So I'm going to open up the library and I'm going to type in the range, browse to the 36-inch range, find one of those, and I'm just going to simply place that in our view to begin with. Next, I want to find a hood, so I'm going to type in flat hood. By the way, you can browse to the library, save your favorites in here as well. Let's just place that off to the side so I can show you how sometimes it's handy to use the center tool. I've highlighted this element using the center tool down here in the lower section of your screen. I can actually come over and center that exactly on that object. So to browse to catalog, one of the things that I do is I save my favorites items, and in my kitchen short list I have a refrigerator, and I'm just going to grab that and place that on the wall. I like to use the My Favorites catalog. There are tens of thousands of items in here, and by creating your own area you can save your own folders. Sometimes by client name it's easy to remember what you've done, or you can just browse the entire catalogs. You'll find core catalogs, which are the basic catalogs, and you'll find bonus catalogs that are available from the 3D library at Chief Architect's website, and these are elements that you can just download from the website on particular things that you like. That's the way the catalog kind of works. Let's close up that catalog library, and let's go ahead and take a wall elevation here. Now I already have that wall elevation open. Notice that I have 3 tabs along the top. I can toggle through those. Also, if I press Shift F6 on my screen, I can actually get to all 3 of those by using Shift F6. If I double click on the title here, that will maximize the screen of that. Now, in running the dimensions for my wall elevation, there is a tool. Notice that my annotation set is NKBA annotations, and if you are using the interiors version, you can set this same default up for your dimensions using the dimension defaults. So using the automatic elevations for the NKBA, I'm just going to click that and get our beginning dimensions for this. And what I want to do for the refrigerator, and let's go ahead and highlight both of these items and we'll just slide these off to the side, is you'll notice that the dimensions are dynamic. I'm just going to pull this refrigerator over so that we have plenty of room to get our cabinet. So I'll just pull it slightly in front of that doorway. And using my cabinet tool, let's go ahead and place a cabinet off to the right hand side of the range. And to begin with, to customize this cabinet, I'm going to come in here on the front of the cabinet, and you'll notice that the separation information, door, drawer, if you click on the different elements, it corresponds to the items up here. So right now I have the door highlighted. It's somewhat grayed out, and that's item number 4. Number 3 is a separation. So if I want to make this a 3-drawer bank, I'm going to come up here, use the Add New button, change that to a drawer, and enter in that item height. Press the Tab key and OK. That's added that second drawer in there. And then on the bottom door, I'm just going to simply change the item type to a drawer. Now I have my 3-drawer bank. Select OK. Now I can bump that right up against the cook range. Use my Copy and Reflect tool and just copy and reflect that right around that range. And the next thing I want to do is I actually want to bump this next to the refrigerator, and before I do that, I'm going to add a couple of partitions. And using the partition tool, I'm just going to come over here, place the partition, and if you zoom in, you can actually stretch this and make the dimensions what you want. Let's go ahead and double click on it and we can type in an exact dimension. Let's set that to be 84, and we'll set it to be 3/4 inch. And then the depth finally to be 24 inches. And now I can snap that right to the refrigerator. But let's go ahead and pull this over here a little bit so we can expose our doorway. Now I want this partition to be exactly in line with this door opening over here. Now that it's selected, let's actually use our eyedropper tool, so I only have to do this once. I'm going to pick up the stainless off the refrigerator and apply that to the partition because I want this to be a stainless partition. Using the Copy tool, we'll reflect it around our refrigerator. Okay, so I have that done. Now let's go ahead and I'm going to group select our range in our cabinets by holding the Shift key down, and I'm just going to bump that next to the refrigerator partition. And as long as I have that selected, I'll just group select the refrigerator and the 2 partitions. And now I can update my dimensions. And once those are still selected, I can just come over here and highlight this dimension down here. And I'll just set that to be exactly 0. And now that has placed all of those elements so that it's right in line with our doorway. Now the next thing I want to do is place a base cabinet next to our 3-drawer bank. I'm going to simply take that to 18 inches. And let's also remove the drawer off of this cabinet. Highlight the front of it. Use the Delete key. It automatically removes it. If you want to change the door style, you can change the door style whichever opening that you want. I have it as an automatic right door. Automatic means that when you stretch the cabinet beyond 27 inches, it becomes a double door. And let's place one more cabinet that we'll put our microwave in. Place that over here. I want this cabinet to be 27 inches. Let me open up this cabinet, and for our microwave, the first thing I'm going to do is change the width actually to 30 inches. On the front of the cabinet, let's change this drawer item type to an appliance, and we'll set that to 16 inches. And then in the library, we'll browse down to the manufacturer catalogs, find our JennAir microwave that's built in, and we'll use the 2430. There's that. And on the next item down below that on the separation, I'm going to change that to a blank area so we have a little extra room, and I'll set that to 1 inch. And then on the door, we'll change that to a drawer. Oh, single drawer. And now we've got that made up. And on this cabinet, I'm going to need a little extra room since we got 3 inches from that microwave cabinet, and we'll bump that over. Well, the next item that I want to add in here is a filler. So under our cabinet tools here, I'm going to place a base filler. Just come in here and place that right next to that cabinet. And by the way, one of the tools that I usually do under the default settings for cabinets is I turn off this option here to automatically create fillers, which when your cabinet gets very close to another cabinet, it will automatically create a filler. I like to be very detailed, so I turn this setting off. Just a little tip that I use. Now I want to place a partition next to this cabinet, so let's go in here, and what I want to do is I want to actually set this to be 4 inches in height, and for now I'm just going to set it to be 96 inches in height. Let's go ahead and update our dimensions. And you can clean these up. Notice that some of my dimensions here, looks like I have maybe an extra 3 inches that we can choose from, so I might make that filler a little bit small. Notice on my wall elevation that my door opening on the right did not get a dimension picked up to it. So with my automatic dimensions, I'm just going to highlight it, grab that diamond, I'm just going to bring it up to that wall area. So you'll notice that I've got 33 inches exposed. So on this filler, let's change that filler to a 2-inch width, and we'll bump these two items over so we get that extra 34-inch opening. And on that partition, let's change the depth of that to be 25 inches, so slightly larger than the depth of our cabinets. And then we'll set this actually to be 95 1/8. Zoom out here just a little bit. Again, if I want to grab that center line end, we'll just pull it up onto that end of the wall. So I've got the center lines. And by the way, if you highlight that extension, I know some people like to bring that right up into the appliance. We can do that. I'll grab this microwave, just pull it up into the part of the base area. And it looks like part of the front of our stove is getting cut off. Let's go back into our plan view here. And you'll notice that my wall elevation camera is clipping that off. Let's just pull it back into our elevation view. That should clean that up. Now you can see the knobs on the range. So it looks like our bottom dimensions look pretty good. We have our openings at 34 inches, and we have our box dimensions. And I think the next step is we'll go through, let's place our top partition or soffit above here, and then we'll create our opening for the pass-through in our wall cabinet. For the soffit above our cabinets, remember our inspiration photo is showing something like this. I'm not going to put the ladder in the design, but I want to create that soffit that goes above the refrigerator and the wall cabinets. So to do that, back in our elevation, by the way, I noticed my dimensions aren't fully complete. I'm not going to really worry about that. Part of the reason they're not complete on the bottom is I actually have that wall, that door right up against the edge of that wall, so it's not picking it up. But you saw how I just grabbed that dimension. I can pull it down, and you can modify these and clean them up so that they look exactly the way you want them. That's the advantage of the automatics, and then the manuals give you the details to make them very precise. Using the Soffit tool, let's come in here, click and place the soffit. Sometimes I'll have to press the tab key to get into the soffit. Actually, let me just undo that. I think it put it on the other wall. In fact, let's place that soffit in our plan view, just so we know exactly where it's going. Soffits sometimes have orientation and change the way that they can behave. So let's place that soffit, turn that layer on. And the first thing is, with that soffit, let's go ahead and pull it to the edge of the wall and pull it clear over to the other edge of the wall. And if I open that up, the first thing is I want the height to be 4 inches. And on the depth of it, I'm going to set that to 24. And then the floor to bottom should be something like 96. And I'm going to adjust this or uncheck this auto adjust height. That will change based on the floor height. If you have a thicker floor for your floor finish, I'm going to go ahead and uncheck that so it stays in place. Now that I've got that soffit the way I like it, I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it over against this wall, and then we'll just adjust that in here. And as long as I'm in here too, let's just copy that and we'll paste it on this side as well. That soffit won't go all the way across that wall in the middle, so that's why I created 2 copies of it. Let's go back to our elevation view. Let's just take a peek at it. You can see the soffit is going across. And notice this partition doesn't quite meet the upper soffit. We noticed that when we were adjusting the soffit, we removed that auto adjust. In this case, I'm going to turn it on, and let's see if that will then move that up off of the finished floor. Next, let's go ahead and grab our cook range hood, and we'll just pull that up so it meets the soffit. And now the next thing we want to do is add in the wall cabinets. And first wall cabinet that I'm going to place is above the refrigerator, and it technically won't be a wall cabinet. So I'm just going to slide this up so it's very small to begin with. And let's make that actually a 48-inch in width. In depth, 24 inches. And on the front, let's take that door and we'll just make it a blank area. And select OK. And now we'll pull that down so it bumps to the refrigerator. And use the center tool. Center it over the refrigerator. And then use the eyedropper, pick up the stainless, and make that up. You'll notice that on my 2 partitions here, if I would have probably selected auto adjust height, that would grow those partitions up as well.